Everyone, today we're going to learn how to knit. We're first going to learn how to cast on stitches onto the knitting needle, and then we're going to learn the knit stitch. In future videos, I'll show you the purl stitch and how to cast off. Let's just focus for now on casting on and the knit stitch. I hope you enjoy. For knitting, we're going to use 2 knitting needles and some green yarn. To start knitting, we need to put stitches onto one of the needles. So we're going to put stitches onto this needle. So you've tied your green yarn onto your knitting needle. Now what you can just watch my left hand. I'm going to wrap the yarn around my left thumb. So my left hand is on top of the yarn. The yarn is going to go from the lower right part of my thumb to the upper left. Bring it around. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to draw a line from the base of my thumb to the top of my thumb. I'm going to catch the yarn in the process. Now I'm going to let it slip off my left thumb. And this is my first stitch, this is my second stitch. So again, wrap the yarn, run the needle from the base of my thumb up to the top, let it slip off my thumb in the process. You don't want to yank too tight right now. We want to make these stitches on the looser side. So again, base of my thumb, draw up, let it slip off my thumb. I now have 4 stitches on this right needle. One more time. Base of the thumb, draw up, let it slip off my thumb. So I am going to put 10 stitches onto this needle. So we have the 10 stitches on the left needle. This is the seam here on the bottom. You want to make sure the stitches are straight. This is a twisted seam. You don't want to start with that. You want to make sure all of the stitches are at the bottom. To create a new stitch, you're going to take your right hand needle, you're going to place it between the first stitch and the second stitch on your left hand needle. So right here in the middle, and then you're going to go through that first stitch. You're now going to take your yarn and you're going to wrap it from the lower left to the upper right on your right hand needle. This right here under my thumb, that is a new stitch. We want to keep it on the right hand needle. We're going to pull it through the stitch on the left, and we want to push off the knitting needle. So let me do another stitch. First stitch, second stitch. You're going to put the knitting needle through that first stitch. We're now going to take the yarn from the back, lower left, upper right. This is the second stitch on the right needle. Sometimes I'll use my index finger to hold it in place. Bring it through, slide it off the left needle. First stitch, second stitch, bring the knitting needle through. Take the yarn from the lower left to the upper right, hold it in place, bring it through, slide the stitch off the left needle. You can adjust the stitches onto the right needle and slide the stitches down on the left. So first stitch, second stitch, I'm going to slide the right needle through, take the yarn, wrap it around lower left to upper right, hold it in place with your index finger, bring it through, slide it off to the left hand needle. Take the yarn, lower left, upper right, hold it in place, pull it through, slide it off. I'm adding a row onto this knitting, and transferring it onto this needle at the same time. First stitch, second stitch, push the needle through, take the yarn, lower left, upper right, using my index finger to hold that stitch in place, bring it through, slide it off the left-hand needle. There are different ways to hold the yarn. You can hold the yarn in your left hand, you can hold the yarn in your right hand, whatever is most comfortable for you. And the last stitch. Through, wrap it around, bring it. All right, left-hand needle now has no more stitches on it. The right-hand needle has 10 stitches and an extra row. Now what we're going to do is we want the empty needle to be on the right-hand side. So we're just going to flip this around. This is now going to be the left-hand needle. This is going to be the right-hand needle. We are going to take the seam is at the bottom again. Be sure to ignore this tail. First stitch, second stitch, we're going to have the right-hand needle go through, wrap the yarn around, hold it in place with your right index finger, slide it through. I hold the yarn in my left hand like this. So I use my thumb and my right thumb and my left index finger a lot. I wrap it like that, pull it through, slide it off. Stick the right knitting needle through, use my left middle finger to wrap it lower left to upper right, pull it through, slip it off. Lower left, upper right, pull it through, slip it off. You can also do this. Hold the yarn in your right hand and loop it around. I find I knit much faster when I hold the yarn in my left hand. Under the pinky, over the ring finger, under the middle finger, over the index finger, and wrap it around the second time. This way it helps me with the tension of the yarn. So between the first stitch and second stitch, lower left to upper right, pull it through, slide it off the left-hand needle. When you get to the end, push the stitches onto this needle, and here you have 3 rows. Now when it's time to knit, you're just going to flip it over. This is now going to be your left-hand needle. This will be your right-hand needle.